Hello. This is an experiment we're trying to do with Philosopher on Carmel. I'm here joined by my friend, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Philosopher on Carmel. Interesting.
Yeah. It's I
Um,
had to come up with a name.
that's fine. I'm Matty. I'm a student at St. John's College in Annapolis, currently a junior, with graduating 2018. Uh, uh, Christian, conservative, fan of Aristotle, I suppose. Um, between Leibniz and Descartes, I would pick Leibniz. How about you?
You were actually my student
Yeah,
years
that's
ago,
true.
so I teach philosophy. I think you can kind of get that from what I've been writing, um, and interested in all issues pertaining to philosophy and theology, with a special interest in virtue ethics and so on. And I'm not going to go into that too much because I want to get rolling. So what we thought we would do is we both wrote down some questions, and we're going to ask. We're going to pick a question. I think you're going first. He's going to ask me a question. We're going to talk about it just for about 10 or 15 minutes. And we'll do that a couple times. So all three of you who are going to watch this will be mildly entertained. All right, so anyway.
Okay, so my first question is what is primary, or first, the good, the true, or the beautiful? Is that a
What is primary? Um, uh, Ontologically primary. Do you mean something like that? Like, is there one uh, that overarches?
yeah?
Yeah,
So there are two ways to interpret the question.
or from a practical manner.
So there are two ways of interpreting the question.
Yeah.
The first is you look back on like Plato's Ladder and Symposium, and you have the beautiful which comes below
Hmm.
the true, which comes below the good, or in Plotinus, like the beautiful proceeds from the true, which in turn proceeds from the good.
Yeah.
The other option is interpreting it according to your life. In other words, which one of those three do you look for in the world, which
Hmm.
appears to you in the world, from which you might be able to perceive the other ones? Uh,
Okay, I got you. I got you.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'll proceed this way. Um, I think that the good is ontologically primary
Okay.
for this reason. Is I think that the um, if something is beautiful, uh, um, what is Aquinas calls a recta ratio factibilium, right? That it's rightly ordered,
Hmm.
and therefore produces an experience of beauty. I think it would also have to be called good. Um, Now maybe those two things come up together, but I think that um, the that which is beautiful can rightly be also said to be good. Well, I'm going to retract that immediately because obviously there are some things that might be construed as beauty in a very simple way, but might be bad. All right,
Okay.
might be injurious or something. But I think,
You could argue that the beautiful part of those things
yeah,
might be good, but the rest of those things which are not beautiful
y-
might be
y-
false.
yeah, something kind of
Yeah.
disordered, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, I'm trying to think of an example in art. Um,
You could just think of like pornography as an example. Like there might be something beautiful in pornography.
right, like okay, so yeah, so let's say when we talk about like film
Hmm.
cinematography, right? Something that is aesthetically pleasing, right?
Uh-huh.
That it's abiding by good aesthetics. Um, and I think there are many examples of this actually, and I've seen many films that they looked quite beautiful, but the content was poor.
Hmm.
Either it was morally questionable or it was just uninteresting.
Hmm.
And I think paintings can be that way too. I think there are all kinds of
Yeah.
examples of very well done paintings. So they have that part of beauty, and I think this might be
Hmm.
what you're going after. So they have that facet, but I'm talking more generally, just something that is both pleasing aesthetically and also rich and good in content and whatnot.
Hmm.
I think that those are participating in the good. And maybe even we can even extract some kind of truth out of it. I think the good is always primary, whether between beauty and truth. I think that becomes a matter of what it is we're talking about. Off
Yeah.
the cuff, I'm saying that, and I think if I thought it through a little bit more, or even been given some examples.
It seems to me as though like the good, the beautiful, and the true has some relation to the Trinity, right? And the problem is with the Trinity is that you know the Trinity seems to have appear at once as this like eternal Trinity of God,
Mhm.
but simultaneously you seem to have like at least in the Catholicism the Holy Spirit, which might be the beautiful, proceeds from the Father. I'm not sure if the Father's. I guess the Father might be the good, and the Son is the Logos, so the Logos is
Mhm.
true in some way. Um, so,
Yeah.
well, I mean, so in Catholicism, the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father and the Son. In Orthodoxy, the Holy Spirit only proceeds from the Father. And that's actually one of the primary divides between the Orthodox and Catholic
Mhm.
churches.
Mhm.
I'm Yeah, so it seems that even within Christianity, where the good, the beautiful, and the true, the transcendentals have this unique relationship to each other where they all exist as one and as many simultaneously. Even then, there seems to be this hierarchy, which is
Yeah.
really confusing.
Well, I would actually object to part of that. I
Okay.
think there's um, a a part of that view that where we want to think like, okay, the three transcendentals are analogous to the Trinity.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's so, and it might be so. It's so in a limited way. I think
Okay.
theologically, it should be that each of the three transcendentals are manifest in each person of the Trinity,
Yeah, that
and
seems
perhaps
fair.
in different manners or in different ways and different manifestations even. Um, but now going back to the original two questions you asked me,
Well, wait a second.
yeah, yeah,
If the transcendentals are manifest within the Trinity, that means the Trinity is dependent upon the transcendentals in order for the Trinity to exist, right?
well, no, not necessarily. I think that well, I don't know. What do you mean? Because that sounds kind of dodgy.
I mean, like it seems to me as though the Trinity might be more manifest within the transcendentals, insofar as without the if the transcendentals are manifest in the Trinity, then without the
Yeah.
transcendentals there would be no Trinity. However,
No,
if the
no, no, no.
Trinity,
I would say the Trinity makes the transcendentals. Um, it gives them it causes them not only to be, but also gives them meaning and shape. Right, without
okay,
which they would not be. Now
yeah,
that's a heavy theological question,
yeah,
and I would venture to say, and here's an example again off the cuff, and I haven't thought it through, and its accuracy may be a little bit worrisome, but I would say that say like a profound aesthetic experience,
hmm
um, something where you are in awe about something. I would say that there is something very much related to the Holy Spirit in that experience
hmm
itself, right? That it is a just in a de facto way, right? It's a spiritual experience,
okay,
but one might describe it quite well through, say, something like um, the presence of the Holy Spirit. Let's say. Uh, Otherwise, and I think though maybe your intuition is a little bit spot on. Perhaps where we think of, I don't know, truth. Well, yeah. Even then, I'm not gonna put one transcendental, um, put it or attach it to one of the persons of the Trinity. I find that a little bit uh,
heretical.
heretical and and not exactly accurate. I mean, they're
Okay.
yeah. So
I think that's justified. Do you wanna stop it here? 10-minute mark.
well, I wanted to say something else
Okay.
too that I think so that would be the ontological response to your original question. Experientially, and I'm going to go to something that Bishop Barron often talks about, right? Which is, you know, how do we talk about uh, the God or just evangelizing generally to other people? And I think one of the the ways that doesn't seem to be working, which is his point. Stop yawning.
I'm so sorry.
One of the things that he says often
Hmm.
is that you it's best to go through something that is a little bit more universally experienced, which is beauty,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we often get into tussles about things like truth, right, or even
Yeah.
goodness. I mean, more politically in our milieu. I mean, that's the big
Hmm.
problem, right?
Hmm.
What do you mean by truth, and what do you mean by goodness and stuff like that? And we saw, earlier before we were doing this, we were talking about the discussion between Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris, which was a disaster. But um, you get into a situation like that, right, where nobody could agree on any of those things.
Yeah.
But I think look, just off the cuff. I mean, I think if any of us are in the in a museum or something, we can talk about, wow, we really love this Van Gogh painting. Why do you like this? So I think beauty is almost maybe more immediately experienced in our general world. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. What's weird is that it seems to be of those three, the last of the primaries, or yeah, in other words, beauty seems to be at the bottom of the ladder, so to speak, ontologically. But simultaneously, I think it's Dostoevsky who claimed that beauty would save the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, and so
And I
in
don't
some
even think
way,
that's
like,
fair that it's at the bottom of yeah, but
I mean,
that's
they're
another.
transcendental, so they're pretty high up on the
Yeah,
ladder of being anyway,
yeah, yeah,
right? So I
yeah.
mean, um, but like it does seem to be the case that beauty is capable of moving the spirit in such a way that arguments about truth or arguments about goodness are incapable of doing so. Except maybe goodness. Goodness seems to, morality seems to move us quite a bit. Truth, I'm not entirely sure about that. Um,
Yeah, truth is, it fits in there, obviously. I
mhm,
mean, we can
yeah,
say, if something is good, there's a truth about it.
yeah.
But I always looked at it in a very simple manner like this, right? Like, if something is beautiful, it is good.
Hmm.
And when you experience goodness, there's beauty seems to be present
Hmm.
immediately as well. Um, you know, and again, I think when it comes to truth, that might be a definitional problem. I think a more basic understanding of truth as being truth as correspondence or truth as coherence.
Okay.
That doesn't seem to fit very well. But when we talk about truth as a disclosure, aletheia or whatnot, then I think then that becomes a little bit more apparent.
Hmm.
Would you say?
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas, like, if
yeah,
when we experience beauty, we see an opening up, and that experience can be something that's kind of truthful.
yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's
All
fair.
right. All right. Good.
That's good.
All right.
At the 14-minute mark.
I don't know if this will be enlightening, except to us.
Hopefully, it won't be confusing.
Yes. All right.
Hopefully.
Bye.